What's going on, YouTube people? Welcome back to the channel. This is part 3 of I'm taking Solihull Moors to the Premier League. If you've been with me for the first 2 episodes, you'd have seen I've already gone through the Vanarama National League campaign. We went up as champions, got promoted at the first time of asking. In today's video, we've pushed through to the end of pre-season, so it's the 10th of August 2024, and I'm going to bring you up to date with everything that has happened at the club, namely transfers both in and out. And then we're going to run through the pre-season, going to show you what the squad looks like and that squad planner to show you how we're going to be lining up for the brand new season. So let's kick off by heading to the transfers tab and bring you up to date with everything that has happened there. So if you've seen one of my other videos, you'll know that there is a little trick in Football Manager that you can use when you are managing lower league clubs, and it revolves around players who have second nationalities. This transfer window, we have pretty much exploited that. I'll tell you why in just a second. But firstly, we have one player that has left the club. James Clark, he has gone to Bohemians, a defender right. Wasn't too sure that selling him was the right thing to do. I mean, he left on a free transfer actually, but letting him go was the right thing to do. But we managed to go and replace him. So looking on the other side here, so you're going to notice there are some weird names of clubs here. Reading United, Ventura County, BW Gotchi, Dallas Texans, Crew Wolves and PA Classics. If you haven't guessed it already, I have been and raided America. Now you might be wondering, what the hell, how has he got these players, what is going on here? So if you've seen one of the other videos, as I said, there is a little exploit and it's all around second nationality regens or new gens or whatever you want to call them. I'll do a dedicated video to this on the channel, but there is a trick where you can actually go and sign players from the start of the game if you're a big enough club, and you can bring in players that are youngsters who have been generated through the youth intakes of America, because they obviously start their season the opposite to us. So when our seasons are finishing, there's a kind of beginning. So it means that those players will have already loaded into the database, and luckily for us, there are certain players that will have English as their second nationality. So for example, on a free transfer, we got Matthew Waite. Now you can see he's an American. I've been asked this question before: how do you get Americans to get work permits? Now luckily for us, if I go into the actual player profile, you can see through the information tab that he actually has another nationality of Scottish, even though he's from Boston, Massachusetts in the US of A. He actually has Scottish as his second nationality, so he's eligible to play for Scotland, which means that we can bypass his work permit issues and get him to the club. Now you can see he's a central midfielder, and although his stats aren't exceptional, what we can see is that at the age of 18, he already has certain things that we would look for, such as leadership, decisions, bravery. His stamina is good, he has good balance, tackling for a midfielder because he can cover as a central defender, and he's a player who instantly becomes valued between 9,000 and 210,000. And he has signed a contract that runs to 2026, so 2 years, and he's only on £120 a week. This is a player that I will throw straight into the first team, and I will give him a run and try and train him into a position that we need and see just how much they can develop. That is one thing you're going to see throughout this save, is that I might turn to players like this because you can really get them for nothing and develop them, and then maybe in a few years time, if bigger clubs want to come and look at them, you can start making profits for your club using this method. So a central midfielder was the first one. We signed Harvey Williams Honeyman, another 18-year-old American. He's another central midfielder, can play as an attacking or a defensive midfielder as well as a central midfielder. He's come from Ventura County, and another one that has decent stats for an 18-year-old, valued at 50,000 to 550,000, stands at 6'3" in the middle of the park. Now, obviously, when you start to sign these types of players, you will notice certain things. Now, the first player I showed you was on £120 a week. He Harvey Williams Honeyman is on £950 a week. Those are normally the ones that have the higher potentials and the ones that think a bit more of themselves at this age and think that they should be earning more. We had to give him his playing time as an important player, and he actually has ended up as club captain because his leadership of 14 is the best in the squad. I'm looking to utilise him and develop him as a player, so that should have no impact on the squad whatsoever, and I do think he will actually develop into a good player going forwards. So 2 central midfielders brought into the club. The next one is Shane Davoren. He is also a defensive midfielder, can play as a centre-back and a right-back. He is Irish, even though he has come from an American team, BW Gotchi, and he's another one, 180,000 to 325,000 at the age of 18. Can play in a number of positions, and again has decent teamwork, positioning, first touch, technique, natural fitness and balance, and another one that we're going to look to develop for the future. James Wright is a player who has come in. He's a goalkeeper, was released by Aston Villa. We needed a backup goalkeeper, and a player who's been on the books at Man City and Aston Villa is probably going to be more than enough for a backup goalkeeper in League 2. The next one on the list was Tony Moore, another American who's actually Irish. Has come from the Dallas Texans. Again, 18 years old, valued at 275,000 to 550,000 on £800 a week. He's best suited to being an advanced playmaker in that kind of attacking midfielder role, but I actually want to train him as a deep line forward because I think for his stamina, for his dribbling, finishing, first touch, strength could be worked upon on 7, but I do think he will fit the mould of that deep line forward. So we're going to try and have a go at retraining him and see how he can do in a different role. Next up, we have Kyle Albon, come from Crewe Wolves, 18 years old, 100,000 to 190,000 on £625 a week. And again, you can see he's starting to develop already. Some of those nice green arrows there from the pre-season games. But he has tackling of 16, standing at only 5'11", so not the biggest for a centre-back. But he does have good natural fitness, jumping reach, balance, determination and good aggression, which is always an interesting one for a central defender. Next up, we signed Jordan Price from the PA Classics. He is a left winger, 18 years old again, 275,000 to 500,000, £700 a week in wages. He has good pace and acceleration at 14 and 13 for an 18-year-old. He has good dribbling of 11, free kick taking, determination, flair, leadership and off the ball are all good characteristics too. He goes in as an important player on the left wing. And then we needed cover for our wing backs, so we started off with D'Amico Burton. He has come from Derby, probably not a first teamer, but he's a player that we needed to get in as a bit of a rotation option. And on £210 a week at 21 years old, I think he can actually just slot in when we need him. Then there was Nathan Giblin. He is signed from Liverpool. Another one, 18 years old, 5'9", can play as a left back or just further up as a left wing back. Can also play further up as a left winger, but not really suited that position. Has good tackling, natural fitness, acceleration. Another one that could develop quite a lot at the age of 18, and he's one that we're going to try and push forwards into the first team as the season goes on. We then signed Marco Mansidor. He has come from Salford, and in fairness, he isn't a player that I think really should be in the first team, so we'll probably demote him or make him available for the under-21s, see how he develops. He popped up on a scouting report saying he had decent potential ability, and then when we signed him it actually fell away, so not too sure what's going to happen there, but for a free transfer, it's not really anything lost. Osa Solomon was the next one to come in, a right back, previously played for Nottingham Forest, 20 years old, could develop into the role, but then again, if we are anywhere near getting promoted out of League 2 to League 1, these players may be moved on quite quickly. We had Luke Matheson. He's a right back, can play as a makeshift left back too. Tackling of 10, he's probably needs improving, but he has good pace, stamina, natural fitness, acceleration, agility, balance. I think he's going to fit in well. Could be the first choice right back from the get-go. Has previously played for Ipswich, Wolves, Hamilton and Scunthorpe. And finally, the last player to come in was Ezio Torre. He's a striker. has played for Wealdstone, Watford, Basingstoke, Reading City. So not really going to set the world on fire, but he's 21 years old, 5'9", coming on a free transfer. He does have decent potential ability. Hopefully he's going to slot in at the front of the pitch. And I think he looks like he could actually score a goal or two when given the chance. 2 pre-season appearances, 2 goals. So speaking of the pre-season, let's have a little look at the schedule and see how we got on. So starting off against Sheffield Wednesday, we had a 1-1 draw where Sabara got the goal there. Preston, we had a mad 4-4 draw where Sabara got 2, Shiloh Tracy got 2. Blackpool, we lost 3-2, Sabara and Raglan getting our goals. MK Dons, we lost 3-1. Ezio Torre scored, but we went down 3-1. And then finally we played against Bromley and we beat them 3-2 with Torre, Danawa and Kelly getting the goals there. So that brings us to the 10th of August 2024. And today we'll be kicking off against Crewe, but that will feature in tomorrow's video when we have pushed forwards to January and then we will build up to the winter transfer window. So a little look at the finances. As you can see, there is nothing really to spend. They've given us 14,000 for a transfer budget, but don't think I'll be spending that, with the overall balance being negative 77,000. There is 27,515 in the wage budget. We're spending 22,000, so there is a decent amount there for us to go and invest in the playing squad if we need it. I do feel the squad is probably where I want it to be at this point to kick the season off. If there are any late deals or anything that we try and get done in and around transfer deadline day, that will come in tomorrow's video. But for now, I think the squad is pretty much set. If we go to the squad planner then and start to show you how it is viewed, if we go into the first assistant report, we can see that Boot, Newton, Albon, Raglan, Matheson, Waite, Devoren, Maycock, Sabara, Kelly and Torre is what our assistant manager thinks will be the lineup here. Again, some of the strengths: decision making, transfer budget, wage budget, youth prospects. Charlie Raglan is good 4 options at right back. Joe Newton's a good option at left back. So it's saying that we have good depth. In terms of the weaknesses though, it's overall depth, goalkeeper depth, agility, aggression, concentration, strength, heading, balance, bravery, determination, composure, finishing and midfield depth. So things that need addressing, but we don't really have the money to do that. In terms of our best 11 with our youth players, so it's Boot, Newton, Albon, Raglan and Matheson, Waite, Devoren and Maycock, Sabara, Kelly and Torre up front. Some of the players that have come in from the youth intake, can actually go and have a look at those as well before I finish the video. So Wright, Giblin, Harvey, Wilkinson, Solomon, then we've got Owen, Martin, Christoph, and then we've got Price, Wood and Packham. So if we go into the dev centre, I'll just show you that quickly. If we go to the under 18 squad, so we have a good youth intake come through. If we sort them by potential ability, we can see that some of the players that come through that really are going to push for the first team, I hope. Joe Pinto did actually play 3 first team games last season as soon as the youth intake came in. We had a few injury problems, so we pushed them forwards, got them a little bit of game time straight away. At the age of 16, he looks like he's going to be one to develop for the future. We had Josh Jackson come in, left or right winger, Polish, which is strange. No, not Josh Jackson. Doesn't really sound like he would be Polish, but only 5'2". Does have pace of 11 and acceleration of 13, so hopefully he'll develop those. Could become one of those tricky winging wizards, but at 5'2", isn't going to be winning any aerial duels. We had Simon Wilkinson come in. He's a right back or can play as a centre back. Again, 16 years old, so plenty of room for development there. And I think one of the other big prospects is Andrew John, left back. Has some pretty decent stats for a 16-year-old. Tackling of 14, pace of 9, acceleration of 8. And whilst they don't look like they're going to be world beaters at the moment, I do think that they can develop going forwards. And as I said, I think it's only when we get the next youth intakes and how quickly we progress through the leagues that will decide how quickly we get through these things. So that is pretty much everything for this update. As I said, we have now gone through to the eve of the League 2 season. Can show you the schedule quite quickly again. So we play Crewe, Exeter, Swindon, Newport, Grimsby, then play Swindon again, Northampton, Mansfield, Exeter, Barrow. Where do we play? So we've got Burton coming up. They're not too far away. Anybody else in this division? Northampton, I suppose. They're quite local-ish. Don't think there's anybody else from the Midlands. Oh, Notts County are another one. So we've got a fair amount of decent games coming up in this division where we can try and make a bit of a name for ourselves. I think pushing forwards, this league could be a difficult one to get out of because of the way the football is. Even though it's not a massive step up, the difference between the players in the National League and league football is just about big enough that if you don't get the balance right in the squad, then I think maybe you could struggle. But we're going to give it our best shot. We have absolutely nothing to lose, and I think there's going to be a good season ahead. I've saved that little bit of cash, which the game thinks is a good transfer budget for January. There is plenty in the wages, so hopefully, even if this squad that we've assembled at the moment isn't firing all cylinders, by the time we get to January we can bring in a few reinforcements and kick on through the league. So I'm going to leave it there for this one. Still with me at this point, firstly, a big thank you for watching. Secondly, if you could hit the like and subscribe button, it would really help. If you want to drop a comment too, I'm more than happy to interact with anybody. Oh, one thing that I did miss off, you can see it right in the middle of the screen here. As we've been promoted, Damson Park is now not big enough to play in the Football League, so we are now playing our games at Agborough. Not too sure if that's something that is going to be permanent or whether we're going to try and get our own upgrades to Damson Park, but yeah, Agborough for the moment. And this is a brand new stadium, 2024 year built, grass surface, 6,444 capacity, so big enough for the Football League. But yes, anyway, if you could check out the rest of the content on the channel, I'd appreciate that too. There are other things such as hints, tips, tutorials, Wonder Kid guides, tactics, you name it. There's a bit of something for everybody on the channel. But for this one, I'm going to leave it there. Big thank you for watching. I'll see you on another episode very soon.